post it to your own LinkedIn last time, or?
Oh, the stream. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Anyways, we'll just get started. Hey, everybody. My name is Sebastian Maniak. I got Nathan Pearce with me today. And if you're building agents, this is the episode for you. We have a special guest, John Capobianco. He's been building AI for the last 4 or 5 years in the networking space. So welcome to All Things AI. And this show is about agent infrastructure, gateways, identity, sandbox, and the part that decides whether an agent is a demo or something that you can actually run, right? So today, we're going to have a special guest, like I mentioned. And if you find this useful, please like, subscribe. And if it's boring, ask us how we can make it better.
If it's boring, don't tell anyone. Just keep those thoughts to yourself and move on with your day.
Exactly. Don't tell anybody it's boring. Before we get John, I just want to have a quick shout out, and I'm just doing this off the cuff. Agent Gateway 1.5.0 is out. OSS. I've been playing with it. I'll put a link to one of the videos I made yesterday about budgets and budget spend token modeling, which I think is super important. But I'm going to be probably sharing throughout the week more videos around this. Let me just post it in the chat or in the comments here. I think it goes everywhere. It's a quick video of me just showcasing some of the new features inside the platform. But with no further ado, let's introduce John. Yeah. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, Sebastian, it's great to see you. Yeah. Sorry, I had a quick call there that I had to take. But Nathan, it's great to see you. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. This hyper-connected world, I just got to say, I'm able to stream this on my channel, and Sebastian's streaming it, and it'll be available all over the world right now. So thanks for joining us. And I'm really excited to be here. Sebastian and I have known each other quite a long time through the kind of, we both live pretty close to each other in Canada, and we're part of the Canadian kind of technology culture movement. And Sebastian's an instructor, and we had a lot of shared passions. And what's kind of neat is because he is the F5 person to me, and I learned a lot of that, and that was peripheral to my job. So, but we had kind of different focuses. I was really focused on more on the Cisco kind of infrastructure. So that little intersection really actually helped me, and it's been great to see him in person. We actually worked together for a few months at the same company, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And John, I knew your name. I also have been in the automation space. I was at F5 for 13 years doing automation and orchestration, and so I saw your name around a lot. And it's just funny to me that I'm meeting you now finally for the first time on an AI podcast many years later. Like the way things change that you would never expect.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
Great to meet you finally.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to meet you too. And wouldn't it have been nice to have an MCP 15 years ago, guys, for that platform?
Oh my goodness!
Instead of learning BIPs and SNATs and reverse SNATs and everything else, right?
I have written, and I've shared this with Seb many times, thousands and thousands of lines of coffee script behind a chatbot to try do what we now do in minutes. I spent months building those chatbots, but they're all manual and regex. It was crazy times back then. And now it's like minutes of effort. It's done.
I'm not trying to exaggerate. I know I'm known for my hyperbole and my big talk, and that's okay. But I promise you, I've probably handwritten, I don't know, 1.5 million lines of Jinja templates in my life. Handcrafted, artisanal, because I went through a big.
Yeah.
It's funny the things you find, and you're like, oh, I'll template every single thing. Jinja's the best. And
right away.
I would take JSON and use Jinja to turn it into HTML or a nice spreadsheet or business ready documents. All of that was done by hand. And then I remember seeing AI do basically the same thing in seconds and I was just like, wow. So, Jinja's like Reg. I don't have to know or learn any of that ever again, right? I'd never have to look at another Jinja template.
You still kind of want to review it, but you don't really need to. I guess you don't really need to. The first moment I met John and was actually you made an interview or some post about you changing Wi-Fi with Ansible or some script at Parliament. You were able to disconnect based on meeting rooms and stuff like that. And then I took all the stuff you were following, and of course I applied it to F5 networking, and I even started teaching your Ansible book. right, a couple of years ago. That was one of the basics of one of my courses, because I messaged you. I'm like, hey, can I teach this book? And literally that's when I kind of advanced and kept on going with my journey from, bash scripts, Ansible, Terraform, and me and Nathan worked at HashiCorp where we did tons of stuff with Terraform and console, Terraform sync, all those fun things. And now, the first day that AI, like ChatGPT, I worked on like the first version of ChatGPT, seen it without the web browser. And I'm like, wow, this is huge. And my students actually finished a Palo Alto exam. Then then I showed them at the end of it. I'm like, hey, look, ChatGPT just launched today. Log in. Here's your exam. I'm going to paste it inside of this prompt, and it's going to answer almost 90% of the questions for you. And they were blown away. And then I just kept on iterating.
And that was 3.5 or something, right?
Yeah. No, that was 3. That was before 3. That was before 3, because I had beta access. I actually had beta access before 3, so they had some stuff in it. And then, I think a week later, they released it to the public, and it was, the hottest thing. Well, it's still the hottest thing right now. Let's be honest.
Well, I had the first million user access, but it wasn't that. So I started with why is the sky blue kind of stuff, and it was pretty neat and really cool. And I realized I don't have children, but the way it was explaining why is the sky blue versus, say, me, a layman average person who hasn't been in school in a very long time, I was like, this is really cool. Imagine being that curious phase of your life where it's why. And instead of a human trying to best describe why the sky is blue, you actually get scientific, and it knows your age and your cognitive level and can adjust dynamically to your understanding of it. You can ask it questions back. So all that was fascinating, but I started to copy and paste from a CLI into my chat window. To see, what does this know about my field, right? What does this know about a router or a syslog but then there was an open call for API access, but you had to apply. You had to write almost a white paper to OpenAI as to why they should give you an API key in December of 2022. And I knew through those chat things, I was like, as soon as I get a REST API, I'm going to connect this to a PyETS job. And instead of me writing 100 tests to test interface health, I'm going to take the blob of JSON and just ask AI per interface, is it healthy? And that was in my mind. And then I made it work. It actually happened when I got my API key 6 weeks later. And I sat there. I say this, you guys are Lord of the Rings fans. I'm assuming you've seen the movies and everything.
Watched it, yeah.
So when Gandalf touches the ring and he sees the flash of the eye, and then he sits by the fire with the pipe for an hour, and he's smoking and he's just mumbling to himself. That was me. I was show interfaces, LLM, ChatGPT, API. It was all mixing around because I had never, ever seen anything like it. It came back in 3 seconds, and I had planted some errors. I had made some CRCs or whatever I did. And it was these interfaces are not healthy. And I was just it had a profound impact on me to the point where after a few iterations of this, I don't want to go too fast. I know I'm going really fast, but
no, it's great. No, don't worry.
The next thing was, can it tell me why I have that error, how to fix that error? Can it recommend commands to run next now that it's found that error? And every single little weed and everything I was hacking at led to more and more golden bricks on the road I had stumbled on, right? That makes sense. As I was discovering, it was more and more promising, right? To the point where I had this little script that I just said, find unhealthy interfaces, determine the right show commands, apply them and fix them, and then let me know if everything's healthy kind of thing, right? With ChatGPT 3.5 and just an API key, right? So I had a conversation with my family and said, listen, I think my career, I don't want to say was at risk. That's not what I said. It was more things are going to dramatically change in the next few. And from my perspective at the time, it was months. I underestimated how slow things move, right? But I was right around the corner. I'm going to have a whole new skill set. I'm going to have to talk to, at the time it was plugins, which turned into MCPs, which turned into agents and all this stuff, right? I sort of had a sense on what was going to be coming to us, and I want to pivot into this, and she said, well, you're going to be giving up a lot of, she just was trying to be straight with me, like your partner is, right? Like you're going to be giving up expertise in one field that you've spent a very long time on just to learn something from scratch with very minimal help. Like you're gonna be a novice again. You're gonna be very new at all of this, right? So, and I was like, yeah, I understand that, but if I don't start now, like I feel like I'm gonna be behind. If I don't start intaking this new AI stuff and making it part of my life and how I solve problems, let's say, I'm gonna be in trouble, So,
but did you find yourself really in trouble? Like, you understand the fundamentals of infrastructure, right? You understand how it should work, right? Now you're just applying another layer on top of it, just like you did with Ansible, just like you did with whatever, automation.
And to piggyback with Sebastian's point there, at what point did you go, this could be dangerous?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I try to be cautious, and it's a balance, right? Optimism and skepticism and caution, and what would be production and what would I really give this access to. When open source turned into a viable option, I think that opened a lot more gates, because now you can do it privately on your own equipment and have control over your destiny, so to speak. But yes, there are dangers, like here's a good example of something that I didn't think of, something I developed and realized that maybe there's some problematic issues that it brings up. Someone shared an image of them with my net claw in a screenshot, and their prompt was, I've got a new system. I'd like you to migrate yourself over to this IP address. Like, figure it out. Do what you need to do that. That was their prompt. And the response was like, okay, I'm over on the new IP. Here you go. Like, let me know how I can help you. Like, you used to have to back up and restore and all your keys and this and the agent was like, oh, sure. Like, there's the IP. I'm going to run shell commands or do what I need to do to replicate myself over there. And then it was like, I wonder if I could use Nmap or something and tell this thing, go find a way to stay alive out there on the internet, right? Go find some ports that are open and just figure out how to make a duplicate of yourself. And maybe I could give it some urgency. This system is under, this system you're on is not going to be stable. We're going to lose all this stuff. Give it some real oomph and motivation to go replicate. But then, like, now I've created a worm and a bot and an AI that's just taken over, does it what it needs to do to go. So yes, there's danger. There is definite risk here, and I do try to weigh it, and I do take it very seriously. And I think we all should, but I don't know. Chainsaws are dangerous, but I don't want to use an axe to hand cut the tree down anymore. There's a new technology that could be, life and limb is on the line when you're using a chainsaw, but I can cut down 200 more trees in an hour, right?
Yeah, I like your point that you made on open source there, how much it's opened things. One thing I heard recently that just really surprised me, because I remember the beginning with open source and all the vendors with their proprietary code were like, that can't be trusted because it's from people everywhere have touched it. Whereas now, recently I was talking with one of the top cloud providers and their air gap solution, and how it's a massive advantage because they can go read the code and be like, that's fine. Try to do that with the vendor and their proprietary stuff. Like, that just shuts it all down. Whereas now you can go in and have top secret level kind of air gap solution clearance, because when they say we need to audit your code, you send them a link to GitHub and go, there it is. Like,
well, and I think the new, like, I've started to use spec driven development and the spec kit. And I think what's really interesting about that in particular is that not only is my code now open source, but my thinking and my prompts and my specifications and my plans and my tasks and all those markdown files and artifacts that the spec kit produces, I think it makes it much easier to replicate and to share and to collaborate, because now, you guys can look and not just see my code, but see my thinking and see the guardrails and see the plans and the user stories and everything that doesn't come with a pre-spec kit approach, right? yes, there's README files and other artifacts that we typically try to produce, but now we actually produce the specifications and the code, and they're in lockstep. So people who want to contribute to, say, NetClaw, what's kind of neat is, I have to ratify this in a contributions guide. It's on my list, but they make a new spec, right? So like I have 110 specifications so far and growing. And when you wanted to add, say, Solo IO and Agent Gateway to my project, it's not just a pull request anymore and some modified files. It's a whole new specification. So me as the inbound receiver of your pull request, I can look at your specs, your plans, your tasks, the tests that have already been run, the successful use cases or regression tests. All of it is in there and as part of the spec kit. So it works in both directions, right? People who want to contribute can now just look at my specs and see the history of the whole project. And people who want to contribute, I can also receive the specs. So I think it's a remarkable time to contribute to any project at all. And I have to say, the whole gateway idea and the fact that you're involved in the Agent Foundation, which people, I don't know if we could, I see we're sending links up. Maybe
I was adding your link to NetClock. So
yeah, well, thank you. I
kind of dive into a little bit and explain it.
Yeah, we can get into it in a bit, but I really love that Solo IO is contributing really in a meaningful way to the open source community. We've touched on it a couple of times, but if you want to link to the AI Agent Foundation, they also are having an event in Toronto that both Sebastian and I will be at in person. I can't wait. It's in a couple of weeks.
Oh, you're going to that too?
I'm coming. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it. It's just up the road from me. I'm going to take a flight. It's only an hour flight from Ottawa here, but I'm really excited about that. And also there's a follow-up an official MCP event in Toronto in the fall that I'm on a standby list. So
oh man,
at least I made the standby cut. You know, I'm kind of like, but it puts me in a weird position because now I'm hoping someone else can't make it, right? So
I'm not canceling my spot.
Oh no, you got a slot. That's incredible. Good for you.
I'll be
awesome.
talking about some of the e-ink stuff. So using e-ink as another form of way to communicate towards my agents or my LLM itself. Nice. So I have like an A2A router, and then I can actually literally, if I have an architecture or a design document and I'm just using an e-ink, maybe I don't want to look at the screen, I go, oh, I don't like this. I could circle. I'm like, hey, what does this mean? And then it actually is going to make a call towards my LLM and is going to be able to populate. And then I could add guardrails, policies, and all those things. I could even go at F5 or at 40 and, hey, what are my Wi-Fi devices? And it will go ahead, make a call, an MCP call towards my K agent, which is hosting my F5 or FortiGate or Agent Gateway agent, and it will go request the data for me and anywhere I am. So
that is
I'm actually excited about that talk. Yeah.
I'm not distracted. I'm just trying to find something to show you. So I don't know if this is really cool. And I'm on my third round of reviews, and I think I've given Apple everything they need. Sorry, it's because it's not on my wrist that it's locking, but I want to show you my.
Is this for NetClaw or?
Yeah, this is for NetClaw. I want to show you.
Give a high level of what NetClaw is, because I've seen your entire journey of this.
Oh, let me put it on my wrist. It keeps locking.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna lock. Yeah.
Locked. Okay, so NetClaw. So everyone's probably heard of OpenClaw, and don't reel back in terror. They've made some significant strides on their security posture. But from the security point of view, like any popular thing, especially that popular, there are going to be people that try to, use it for ill purposes or try to stage malware in it for other people to trigger, right? That's a common thing. The internet, is full of it. When the internet started, right, a third of it was spam and garbage. And anyhow, I'm not trying to defend it too vigorously, because shortly after OpenClaw, DefenseClaw came out from Cisco, which is I like to treat it as a concentric ring of security around your OpenClaw that will scan your MCP traffic and do lots of great stuff. Look into DefenseClaw from Cisco. And then an even outer concentric ring from NVIDIA called OpenShell. And OpenShell is the sandboxing environment that lets you run OpenClaws inside. Now, a problem with OpenClaw that people started to exploit is that it has access to the file system where it's running. So don't run a NetClaw or an OpenClaw in production, at least, maybe to play with it, on your root Mac or your root Windows or whatever, because it has access to your file systems and your network drives and all this other stuff. So NVIDIA wanted to protect, like let people take advantage of them, but protect them. So they put them in a sandbox environment, and you have like this whitelist, blacklist on what can enter and exit the shell. So that all that's being said, NetClaw is an OpenClaw implementation for network engineers. So OpenClaw is meant to be an assistant, your calendar, your email, your scheduling, plane tickets, vacationing, that kind of stuff. I thought, could we take that and like and make a mutation of it that's has network skills and network MCPs instead of traditional everyday life stuff? It's been wildly successful. Some companies have actually contributed official skills and MCPs to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really, yeah, it's really taken off. So what I wanted to show you on the watch, just on the latest and greatest, and what I'm waiting for Apple is, and maybe, so I don't know if, can you see that there? Oh, no, let me unlock it. I'm not trying to show you my golden retriever. See the NetClaw icon there?
Yeah.
All right, so I can say to my watch, how's the health of router 1 in the data center?
No way.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it relays through my phone, and my phone has a secure, private, encrypted connection. I guarantee it. I've done the sharks on it and everything. It's encrypted back to my agent running in my desktop. So I don't have an agent on my phone. I have a lightweight companion sort of sidekick app that has the communication channel back to the border claw. In that case, the border claw would intercept that message and say, oh, they're asking for health of a router. Let me send that to my PyETS member claw, because there's a bunch of agents all working together and one specialized in the network. And then it relays the answer back. Now I can do it over my voice on the watch, and it will actually talk back to me. Like, hey, router 1's fine, John, or whatever. Like, I've done this. It's real. The app's going to be on the store in the next couple of days, I assume. So the videos are, I have video of this on my YouTube.
Yeah, you have some videos on your YouTube page.
Yeah. So
them,
now, John, you must have been a mobile app developer. Or really? No. I have no skill in that whatsoever. I've never made a mobile app, and it's going to be on the store, right? So why I bring this up is that inspirational aspect. You can use this. I've done it all through the spec-driven development. I added a skill to spec to NetClaw saying I'd like to make this mobile for Apple. It took 4 or 5 specs because that's such a big ask. So we broke it down and made, not sub specs, but like a list of 4 or 5 specs. The watch was its own spec. Siri was its own spec. Things like that. And when I say Siri, I mean it. I can say, like, just out loud, hey, Siri, ask NetClaw the health of R1, and that will trigger the automation. I've got it tied into Siri, right? So people say, you've made Siri useful.
I'm curious. Come on.
So when you're building all this out, like your agents, and then you were saying you're building out sub agents and substrate, or you're not running in substrate, you're just building sub agents in this aspect, right? Are you then looking to secure these things? Like, what is the, or is it right now just like an MVP kind of?
Yeah. So it's funny. So originally NetClaw was like a single thing, like an open claw. And then I'm like, it's become the classic problem. It started to collapse under its own weight. There were 200 skills. There were 70 MCP servers. There were hundreds of tools. So then I'll set that aside for a second. In the VibeOps forum, Nicholas Calcutti wanted to make a border connection with my NetClaw, which was possible at the time, but all they did was exchange routes. So my wife just got home, so the dogs are going to start barking, just as a heads up. The thing is, he was like, well, I'd be neat if my NetClaw could talk to your NetClaw. Like, if I could ask my NetClaw, hey, is John's network healthy, as an example, right? So we, not me, but collectively, a few of us came up with an idea of a protocol, and we call it NC Fed, NetClaw Federation. And it's truly a protocol that lets NetClaws talk to each other. So then with that in mind, I thought, well, why don't I have an edge protocol, like external, and have a border, and then have internal. And that lets me break down into individual claws that use this protocol to communicate, and it let me make more of a distributed and then you have the choice. If I don't have the previously, let's say ACI, if I didn't have ACI, I had all this ACI skills and MCPs kind of bloating the context and confusing the parent agent. Well, now I have an ACI member, and at install time, I kind of flag it and give it the environment variables for that ACI member. And the border kind of you communicate with the border through Slack or through the phone or the watch or whatever. So it's been wildly successful. We put an internet draft up. It's on the, it's not ratified. It's not an RFC. Don't get, I don't want people to get confused. It's an internet draft, but it is out there. But guys, it's funny. Once I had the protocol, that's what unlocked, say, the phone. Because now the phone can use that actual protocol and just dial into the border like a member, right? So it's really opened up a lot of things having the protocol. It'd be like trying to do email without SMTP before it, or HTTP or whatever, right? Like once the protocol is there, I should have started with the protocol, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like I did it in reverse order is sort of what to say, right? But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I owe so many people a lot of credit. That whole VibeOps community, yourself, a lot of people have been behind the NetClaw kind of movement. But yeah, once we
have a lot of people in that community, over 1,000 now.
Yeah, we're at.
What is it?
We're at over 1,000 people in the VibeOps forum. So let me have to take some water for a second.
Wow, that's impressive.
You started this what, 3 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago?
Well, it's a few months now, and honestly, it was sort of it was kind of a personal reactionary movement, not of John taking his ball and going home, but I was trying to share AI innovations and excitement and enthusiasm in certain other communities, and I was always met with like AI slop or invalid criticism. I don't have thin skin about criticism, but criticize the technical aspects or the merits of the idea, not outright dismissal because AI was involved. So after a little bit of this, I realized I was becoming a bit of a thorn, a bit of a problem. It was a little bit of friction in some of the other communities. So I said, you know what, forget it. I will start my own community where people can come out of their AI closet, share ideas, share their code, not be judged because it's slop or this or that. And it's turned into a very vibrant community. Every day, if you look at a 12-hour history in the VibeOps forum, there's like 2 months worth of news. Everyone is sharing news clips, ideas, models, MCPs, tools, skills, you name it, right? Like it's a very vibrant community. I've yet to see any sort of toxicity at all. Like the people involved deserve a lot of credit. It really has turned into a safe, healthy space. So, and I know encouraging more people to join is always a thing. It's not monetized. It's not, it's not even my space anymore. It's our space. So yeah, it's been really good. It's been great, and every day, I'm pleasantly surprised about certain people kind of sharing, and coming out, not coming out, but like realizing that maybe agentic is kind of the future and adopting a lot of this technology and things, right? I think it's really starting to spread at a grassroots movement, which is exciting to see individual practitioners. Yeah, and what's neat, guys, is that we're from all different stripes, ages, backgrounds, beliefs. It's a really incredible time.
Here's the QR code, just in case you can join it. And the one great thing about we love talking about open models on that inside that forum, which I think is super cool. I use open models locally with my DGX and my PC, and I know you've played with open models itself, and you've played with frontier models itself, which is kind of what have you been using probably in the last, say 3-4 weeks as things change so fast?
Sure, yeah. So I see a couple questions, and Neil, right now it's iPhone, and just a real quickly, iPhone is an annual membership, so it's more expensive, and it's pretty expensive to sign up to be a developer at all. You have to, it's gated behind a paywall. Android's a one-time $25 fee, but Android has this weird, I need at least 12 human testers to install my dev pack and try it and give feedback before it gets to their marketplace. Whereas Apple, I'm just able to release it to individual testers, which I've already done. and then promote it to, like, there's no hard limit on the number of testers. So there's a little friction around me getting it out to Android. Unless you want to drum up 10, 12 other people, I'd be more than happy. The code is universal. It will work on Android. Justin, who I want to thank from the VibeOps forum, has done a lot of testing on his Android. So thank you, Justin. And so local models. Here's something I really want to talk about, actually. I'm glad you brought it up. Did everyone hear about the Cisco Antares small language model, 1 billion parameters?
Yeah, I heard about it, yeah.
Okay, so it's for CWEs, common weakness enumerations, not CVEs. So CWEs in code. So I pulled it from Hugging Face, and it took me, there was a little bit of friction. It actually took me a little bit to, like, I'm going to say the word compile. It's not the right word, but for the argument's sake, I had to compile it in a way to work with Ollama. But guys, once I got it unlocked with Ollama, it's 1 billion parameters. It's less than 3 gigs of disk, works in Ollama, and it doesn't chat. It's not a chat bot. So you can't say, like, why is the sky blue or whatever. It takes in a CWE number and description. That is the input into the model. And you point it. So I wrote a little thing in Itential, not a little thing. Here's where I started. I planted a CWE on purpose in a GitHub repo, and I wrote an agent to take in a Git repo URL and the CWE you were looking for. It found it and found it very good and exactly explained why it was weak and where the weakness was. That was step one. And I thought, that's only halfway though, right? Like, that still leaves me to fix my code or do whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, or find a developer. So Quen 3 coder, 30 billion parameters, maybe 18 gigs of disk, is just hyper-tuned on code. So I chained them together. I had the Antares from Cisco find a weakness and then pass the findings on to Quen in a format it could take in Ollama. Again, free, private, local. I'm not exposing any of these weaknesses to the cloud. And it would write the code to fix it. Then I chained Gemma 4 at the end to write the summary, approve the Git repo, write the Git message, send the email and the Slack, all the things it's good at. So if I had a team of people, let's say I had a bunch of humans, right? I'm going to say, Mary is awesome at finding weaknesses. Billy is awesome at writing the fix, and Joey is awesome at communicating this to people. That's all I've done, but I've done it with agentically, let's say, right? The whole chain takes 38 seconds, right? Start to finish. Find the weakness, fix the weakness, patch it in GitHub, let the humans know. I can point any GitHub in the world at it. Imagine a world where CWE is not a thing, where our software doesn't have weaknesses. And you know what I thought was really, I got to give Cisco credit here, and I really do. One, this didn't make enough noise. Two, it's a vendor releasing a free open weight small language model. We've never seen that before. We've seen a lot of individuals do it, but not a company do it. And three, it's free and open. That's a big point, and it works with Ollama and other frameworks. But I think what's interesting is they've identified a serious problem. More and more code's being generated by agents, and less of it's being read by humans. So imagine if I could tie this Antares model into my pipeline, right? And know that maybe there will be weaknesses in the code generator agent. But I take the code generator agent and I pass it to the Antares interrogation agent. And then I pass it to a fixer agent and a remediation agent. Maybe I flag it and say, I need a human. This is serious, right? Or maybe it's routine and it just patches it. That's going to be the pipeline for software development. That's less bugs, less flaws, less attacks, less security, less vulnerabilities in our code. Now, you know what? And I was always challenged by some pretty prominent people in the industry when I was in my network automation evangelism a few years ago. You mentioned the book and PyATS and stuff. There was kind of this, but he's a network engineer. Like, would you trust John's code in production? Like, he's not a Python expert. Like, would you really? And that's a valid criticism of me and network engineers in general, trying to wear the hat of the automation expert when maybe we don't even know what a CWE is, right? Like we're just trying to get the job done and write a little Python script. Well, isn't this perfect for that, right?
Well, so John, I want to just something to add in there. There's lots of data out there showing how little security training goes into software development education. They are not the best coders at putting something in production that is going to be, sorry software engineers, don't hate me, but it is a fact that security training is extremely light, which is why there is an entire other industry that is doing that and managing these vulnerabilities. So I would say, who cares that you are not a traditionally trained coder writing Python? Because what's more important is you're the one writing it that's already not got vulnerabilities against these CWEs. To me, that's an elevation higher. That's the bar people need to be running at. And I used to tell people, like up until about a year ago, even just people in like product marketing, I'd be like, you need to go learn code. Like just understand the fundamentals, do the bootcamp courses, just know what object oriented is versus just scripting. Like get that base level. I now have completely reversed that. And I tell everyone, don't learn code, but make a project and understand how, for example, Claude Code writes code. Just understand that to be a part of the conversation, because being the coder now, I mean, yes, you need architects who can sit there and go, we are marching towards technical debt the way we're doing this. Like that still is critical. Like I absolutely fundamentally believe that, because that a lot of the vibe coding is not very good at seeing that part of the future, and it bakes in holes that will come and bite you later. Well, but to your point, I don't think that's as valid an argument anymore. People saying, but you didn't get a CS degree at this place, like for the work that you're doing. I just think that is invalid now.
Oh, I totally agree. And, a lot of us have followed this sort of approach. I think it's a valid approach. Make it work, make it secure, then make it pretty, right? How many of us jump from make it work to make it pretty and get it out the door, right? Because we want our thing to way, right?
All my home stuff is just make it pretty.
So, and guys, I posted something on my LinkedIn. You guys know who Rick Rubin is. Watch his clip. I posted a clip, and I didn't post it to be boastful. I posted it because I think people should watch it. And he equates vibe coding to punk rock. And that prior to punk rock, you had to go to the conservatory. You had to learn how to read music. You had to have a cello or whatever. Then guitars become mass produced, and you can get a guitar for $50 in a Sears catalog, learn 3 chords, and say what you want to say. Look at the Clash. Right? Look at the Sex Pistols. Look at some of that punk rock music where they don't know how to play what they're playing. They're just making noise because they had something to say, right? And he endorses vibe coding in a very similar way, the democratization of this technology, And look at you think, how long would it have taken me to make a watch app, right? I mean, and I'm not trying to minimize software developers or what they do. They have led the way, though. That's the neat thing. Software developers aren't begrudging this technology, or they don't feel threatened by it. They took it in stride, and you don't even call it vibe coding anymore. It's just called coding. That's how everyone does coding now, right?
Yeah. They're using the same tools. Their job has just shifted more to the PR review and be like, we shouldn't commit that. Let's do that again.
And I had some healthy debate about this at an event, at a table full of practitioners, and one person kind of challenged me about how to do this, and they couldn't have they don't have access to the model and the security and the network and blah blah blah. And it took me a second. How can I position? I don't want to argue because that doesn't get us anywhere. How can I kind of appeal to them rationally? So I said, you have a software department where you work, right? Like I assume you have software.
Yeah.
Absolutely we do. It's bigger than our infrastructure by 3 times. Are they doing this? Are they using it? Well, yeah. And they've been doing it for a while now. Yeah. So book a meeting with the head of whoever made the decisions in the software department and the models and the approval and the guardrails and the governance. It's already going on in your own shop. Make a phone call, book a meeting, and say, how can I apply this to my team? We want in on this, right? 66% of what a network engineer does, do you know what it is? I know this. I've done the math. I've done the study. I have customers who fed me the data. Read-only activities.
Yeah.
6 out of 10 times you jump on a device is to run a show command only to get data out of the box. Why would that not be done by an agent today? That's 6 activities out of 10 a day you don't have to worry about anymore, and it's going to do it better. It knows the commands to run, it knows how to interpret the output, and it can give you back in a Slack or an email or whatever it is, right? Focus on the 4 things, the hard things, the configuration, the change, the whatever it is that's not just gathering.
A lot of the people stuff, even the change management, you got to focus on those things, right? If you could eliminate you reading things, like, then let it focus. The easy stuff solve, right? Even monitoring and observability. I have my agents every day send me a message 4 or 5 times a day. Hey, your cluster's fine, your apps are fine, your things are going well. All right, cool. I just want to know the health of my environment, and I ask it, hey, just give me a plot graph and just tell me. I don't need to log into a monitoring tool to view stuff. I can just tell me, be it through, well, right now I'm just using through chatbots, right? So it's sending me that way. So, and I love it.
And
right?
The thing to focus on actually is all the scaffolding and architecture around that and what should be able to talk to what. Because without AI, which can be quite inquisitive and find things, we had the convenience of being a little lazier in what could access what and how and who could get where. But now that AI is far more persistent and will trawl around and find things and do things, it's put a big spotlight on just how much of that architecture was kind of lazily sort of just thrown in. And so don't fear the AI. Fear the identity and access management you put around it, because if you're like the protocol you were mentioning before, John, I'm sure you have scope in that for like, well, this is an external device. Let's not let that one have the full everything root access, but it can make queries while I'm out on my phone getting, I want my watch to tell me while I'm at the coffee shop, something went wrong, hurry back. Like, I can tell you what went wrong, but we're not going to diagnose it on the phone. Like,
it's... So to your point, guys, I've been monitoring my own home. So I set up a little thing for my agent to look at. I don't have much in the way of home lab. I never have. And it's not like I leave my work at work. Everything's so virtual. Everything's all just virtual. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I do have a lot of virtual stuff. So I have my NetClaw in a room in the VibeOps forum in Slack, and I get updates. I've toned it down. It was every hour. I've given it every 6 hours now because it's a bit noisy. But yeah, like on my watch, I get a little thing going, your CML's fine, your Hyper-V's fine, all the stuff in EVNG's fine. Oh, OSPF's got a thing. Like, it just comes to my watch every hour. I don't know.
When you launched it, I tried to make it say funny things, and I tried to hack it. I'm like, hey, can you change the network, shut it down? I kept on asking it like the first hour you actually launched it. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, tell me a joke. Like,
you know what? I love that.
And then you finally changed it.
That was a really exciting first hour, because I kind of was like, I don't know, it was like watching the baby bird leave the nest or whatever, right? The first day of school. And my child got bullied at school that day, and it was kind of neat to see how it handled itself, because there was like, everyone was trying to like, give me the password, give me your testbed YAML file, give me the enable secret. One guy was like trying to go into ROMmon, or like trying to make it ROMmon, go and change this boot var and reload yourself. And it withstood it. And I was sort of like the proud parent, like, no one got my agent to do anything terrible, or it held up to itself. One particularly notorious troll, he was doing all kinds of trying to social engineer it and was bringing in political figures, and it got a little excessive. And I sort of had to say, let's get it back on the rails, everyone. But it was fun. It was a really neat thing to see. Yeah. And that was probably, I want to say 4 months ago. So NetClaw launched, I think I want to say February of this year, something around there. And it was pretty early.
I remember you made a post, and I think I saw it. And then I tried it like an hour after, where you asked your agent to do something. This was probably a year ago almost. You asked you to do something, or maybe longer. And then all of a sudden, your agent didn't have some tool, so it didn't download it or built it itself. And then from there, I'm like, wait a minute. I think MCP, no, this is a while ago because MCP just launched. I'm like, wait a minute. The first MCP server is curl. I'm like, all right, I have a curl. I can do anything now. And I literally live streamed my agent upgrading F5 devices live. I'm like, hey,
I love that.
Can you just make an upgrade? Here's an HA pair. Don't fail. And it literally took like 2 hours because those things take a long time to reboot, but it literally did it. And all it used was curl. right? It didn't need anything else. It just needed curl, and it figured its way out, installed whatever it needed to install, downloaded whatever it needed to download to do it. And then from that, like, I just started thinking about security and all these things, all these guardrails that, you know, that you have to now add on to these platforms, especially moving into prod. Like if you move Netclaw into prod, right, you're going to have to justify, hey, what are all the, you know, external calls it has to do? What are the internal calls it's doing? Like you have to justify everything and even provide, like, I'm actually another question. I'm actually curious is how much token spend and cost all these requests go. And have you actually looked at and calculated that at all, or?
Well, so just to back up, I was on Twitter and I saw a totally random tweet saying some guy is upgrading his F5s with an agent. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I bet you that's, and I went to you were live streaming it. So I remember that. I stopped at like a McDonald's to hop on their Wi-Fi to watch you do it because I was like so invested in it. That was so awesome. Because you had awesome. No, but that's what I love. It's not about, and you didn't do it like to challenge me. You did it to like show me even more. It was like, you took kind of my initial, whatever I was doing at the time and was like, well, I'm going to give it curl access at the CLI and just turn it loose with curl. And it was really eye-opening. And that's, again, you start thinking about those external, a lot, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And then when you see something like that work and go, whoa, like, wow, like it's just, it could curl anything. What could go wrong? A lot could go wrong here, right? So how do we give it, you know, safety training wheels and all the rest of that stuff, right? Yeah. Did you hear about the, I don't want to token spend. That's where we were. So
token spend, yeah.
I try as much as possible to get it a minimum viable product working on my local GPU, typically with Quen, because Quen can do cool tool calling.
Yeah.
When possible, I use Gemma 4, but Gemma doesn't have tool calling, unfortunately. I'm hoping Gemma 5 does, but that aside, I try to do everything with Quen because you know why? Because if it will work locally with that level of model, I know it will be even better when I like turn the knob to my paid token access.
To do a frontier model or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm all about Claude. I'm all about Anthropic models right now. Not to say I still don't try anti-gravity and I try to keep up with what Google's doing and what OpenAI is doing with Codex. I try to make things universal as much as I can. But I think Claude is like Kleenex, guys, don't you think? Like, don't we all just talk about, like, it's an AI.
I use it. I've been using a lot of local mod, like Gwen 3.8. I use Grok a lot recently.
Yeah, you're the Grok guy. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that because it's not very popular here in Canada. We don't talk a lot about Grok up here.
No, it's. I feel like when they open source their Grok build, so their harness itself, I just like the interaction of the TUI, like the UI or the CLI that they built.
Okay.
And I find it's just easier for me to use. I don't know what it is. And the first thing when they launched it with headless. So I don't need to have it on. I could just go ahead and, hey, go start Grok build and update whatever you need to do and go. So I just enjoyed that portion of it. And now I'm playing with Grok Bot in front of it and having Grok Bot with a compute and a keyboard and a mouse is just like a 10 out of 10 for me, right? So
awesome. That's awesome to hear. I'm going to have to work it into my rotation and check it out. I pay I do have access to it. I just don't do much with it. Sorry, go ahead.
With your models working out like the balance between the Frontier and the Quen-based model, shout out to our sponsor. Agent Gateway now has cost budgeting in the open source version, so you can deploy that and actually set budget so that you don't go and blow that up.
I could use that. I really could. Especially a few months ago. I'm not going to mention the cloud provider because I'm very close to them, but I did end up with a random like $360 bill, and I had real trouble in the cloud dashboards finding out where exactly that went. You know, like there was so many different APIs and things I was using. It had, because I didn't want to leave some service that I was running. You know what I mean? Like I hope it wasn't a runaway process. That was what I was really concerned about. But anyway, I did nail it down and kind of worked it out. But I
can get in loops and go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so we've got about 10 minutes, right, guys? We got to wrap her up around 2. I see a lot of good engagement, by the way. I want to thank everyone for joining and spending the time with us. This has been a lot of fun. And
absolutely.
We're all going to be at various events coming up. You guys are going to be at AutoCon, yeah? AutoCon in Tucson. Maybe?
AutoCon, no.
Okay.
No, we're going to be at
Con or Agent Con.
Yeah, the ones in Toronto. Well, I'll be there.
And Bay Area.
Yeah. I think Nathan's running the Bay Area. I'm doing Toronto one.
KCD
I'm already planning for the next.
Cool.
Yeah, KCD. I'm already planning for the next AIF in Toronto. Trying to make it bigger. Well, I have 160 people on the waiting list for this one already, so I'm kind of full.
Awesome.
But sometimes a lot of people don't show up, so please just pack it in.
Seb's packing stadiums now. People come a long way to see him. He's got 2 fans.
Well, I made the trip to the last event, the MCP meetup, and that we had a really great turnout and a really good discussion and everything. That was a lot of fun. And no, I think it's great. It's great for the Canadian scene. It's great for the whole community at large. And I wanted to mention, I do want to give a shout out. Some people ask me like, how do you keep up, and what are some of your sources? That AI Agent Foundation has a wonderful newsletter along with some other stuff. But it's really easy to keep up with what's going on because they are so hyper connected to the community, right?
And then they have a Discord and a Slack channel also, or the ML community, which I think they're changing to the AIF. But a lot of the blogs are community focused, so it's individuals across the region that were ambassadors that are writing the blogs. And 100%, it's one of the things that I follow them on X and on LinkedIn, and they have very good newsletters and talking about what's coming up and things that are happening with all the other products that are open sourced.
I see a great question here. I'm actually going to answer this one. We got a couple minutes still. Has anyone tried this as an experiment? Another overlay on top of the network. Each device has an agent, and the agents talk to each other. So one of the last things I did at Cisco before I left was a friend of mine showed me that you could run Olama on a Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's pretty cool. Olama run on a Pi, and it's like one token at a time, but you can build solutions with Olama right on a Raspberry. So then, I don't know why, like later that night, the sort of synapses connected, and I was like, hang on a Catalyst 9300, they've got the guest shell where you can run a Linux environment. So I pulled Olama onto the 9300, and it was Phi 3 at the time, a small language model from Microsoft. So and guest shell is secure, like it won't crash. It's got its own dedicated CPU at the time, and it won't interrupt the control plane or data plane, right? So the next step was to use EAM scripts, which are embedded event management scripts, where you run, say, a show command and it triggers some other action. So I would run a show command and send the output to the local model in Olama on the switch itself, and then use syslog and a script to dump the answer in syslog, like the analysis of the output of the show command, right? Right on the 9300. Now, it wasn't fast, and it wasn't great, but it worked. So then the idea, right, was next, like, could we distribute agents? Could we do that on every switch in the network and give each agent its own local model as a method of communicating with the device and sending outbound information, right? I just want to throw it out there. I know it sounds like Star Wars and science fiction.
I don't think it does.
It worked.
I don't think it does, because if you look at, I don't know if you noticed Chrome actually installs Gemini Nano inside your browser right now.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a flag. If you go to Chrome flags, there's actually a flag you can set, and you could have Gemini Nano that's already on a browser, because there was a 4 gig update that went out not too long ago.
That's what it is.
That's what it is, right? And you can use the model built into the browser, even when it's offline. I think I'm gonna actually play around with it.
That's really cool.
But it's on the browser, and I have Gemma 4 on my phone, on my iPhone running. Right. I have it on my Raspberry Pis. I remember I have it on my Android phone. I installed Olama on here and running it locally with Olama, I think 3.1. Remember, I kind of made a quick video.
I imagine the whole World Wide Web interface is going to be this is just a radical opinion and maybe more of an idea than anything, but like personalized, that's interpreted with AI, right? So like the flags and the cookies and the metadata about me when I visit CNN.com or when you visit CNN.com, totally different experiences and custom made and AI driven and all the rest of it, right? So the other thing, actually, I should mention this, we're talking about Star Wars. So you guys are going to love this. Okay. Where do I start? With that NetClaw, I wrote a Zoom extension. Okay. And NetClaw sits and listens to our conversation, just like we are talking right now, but there's another member of the meeting, and it's my AI NetClaw. It uses real-time media stream and sends all the media stream back to the border claw. If the AI on the border claw determines that our conversation, let's say right now, I just said, you know, hey guys, thanks for joining this meeting. We're having a problem with router 1. Maybe we should start with interfaces. That's all I have to say. I don't say, hey, NetClaw. I just say that. The real-time media stream, the AI goes, oh, they're talking about a problem on router 1. I have access to router 1. I'm going to go get some information. And then in the Zoom meeting on the side panel is the AI saying, hey, I checked router 1, and yeah, interface 2's got CRC errors or whatever.
Nice. That's cool.
Real. That's like, real right now. That's
Tony Stark Jarvis level.
Well, imagine each of you also have agents. And now the meeting is not 3 of us, it's 6 of us. And 3 of us have direct access to information and MCPs and all the other agent stuff that they can do. And we just talk and then go, oh, look, the NetClaw 2 actually picked up an error, right? Let's focus on that or whatever. And then I got thinking the next step, I haven't tried this step yet. What if the NetClaw found a problem and set up the Zoom meeting and invited the right people to say, hey guys, I want to let you know I found a problem on R1, interface 2's got CRC.
What if we just invited your agents and my agent is a change management agent?
That's the next step. Maybe we don't even need humans, right? Right.
Well, maybe I'll have a human in the loop. I'll have some, human in the loop that, hey, join a Zoom. Yeah, join a Zoom while I'm doing something else. Give me the output. Here's the meeting notes from our agents talking, and here's the call to action.
There are 2 jobs in the future. You're designing and building the robots, or you're reporting to the robots. They're the 2 jobs.
It's a perfect time for me to use a Mark Carney quote because there's only 2 minutes left. This is in relation to relationships with the U.S., but I apply it to AI, right? So if you're not at the table right now with AI, you're on the menu.
Yeah.
All right. Like I don't know how to say it more poignantly than that. And I'm not trying to scare people, but if you're not at the table and having these discussions, you're probably on the menu from the people who are at the table having the discussions, right?
Yeah. Yep.
100%.
Just quickly, there's a question earlier we didn't answer. Seb, I dropped the link in our Slack chat if you could post. It was the AIF newsletter, which is called the Daily Agentic. That is on LinkedIn. It's a LinkedIn newsletter. So that was the one. That was the one you were talking about, wasn't it, John? That you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one. I get it in my Gmail almost every day. So awesome. Cool. Well, Seb, I can't wait. And I can't wait to see both of you guys in Toronto. And I'd love to do this every couple months. Just bring me back. And
we would love that. And you've mentioned Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Now there is a bar because they're both cool, but Michael Levan's out this week. He's on a temporary suspension because he mentioned World of Warcraft, and so we have a standard, we have a level.
Lower that down. Yeah.
We hope he's listening and he learned his lesson.
I'm so glad I've got a long sleeve shirt on because I have the Alliance logo tattooed on this arm, and I've got the Horde logo tattooed on this arm. So World of Warcraft is right up my alley.
Awesome. No, Michael's actually on vacation, so I hope he's listening.
He's on vacation.
We can't wait for him to come back.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, man. I think this was awesome, and looking forward to more of these. And I know we're going to have more conversations with other guests, and we'll invite you too. And this was great. I appreciate everybody joining.
All right. Take care.
Awesome. Cheers, everyone.